Hello, everyone. Welcome to this Q&A on the film that we all just saw, Grace and Saleem, in our official selection from Trinidad and Tobago this year. And fantastic. Hi, Jan. Hi, Sophie.
Hi.
Welcome to the Q&A.
Thank you.
It's so great to have you both. So
Thanks.
I'm Shakira. For everyone who's watching, Jan is the director of the film Grace and Saleem from our official selection with Sophie, the producer. Fantastic that you guys could join us.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here.
Thanks for having me film.
Yeah.
Are you joining us from Trinidad?
Yep.
Yes.
Fantastic. All right, that's great. Well, it was great to watch the film. We're gonna jump right in. We've got lots of questions, and it's fantastic to be able to talk to you about what we've seen. So, to jump right in, what is it like in Trinidad at the moment? What time of day is it?
It's 4:30 p.m. It's pretty bright, a bit rainy.
Yeah.
Good. And rainy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the sun's coming
Okay.
back, so it's nice.
Yeah, there are a lot of jealous people who want to be in the Caribbean right now. So,
Yeah.
for those of us who can't be there, enjoy it. To jump right in, Jan, it's a pleasure having you guys with us. We want to find out firstly just what your background is. If you could give us an idea of sort of what led you up to the making of Grace and Saleem.
Oh, okay. Well, I went to film school here, the Trinidad and Tobago, the University of the West Indies. And basically, the film started off as our capstone, which is our final year film. So basically, we wrote a film we could afford, and we wrote a film we can't afford. And Grace and Saleem was the film we couldn't afford, being students. So we did the film we could afford. And then Grace and Saleem started off as just a 40-minute film. Basically, it was the first part, the part in the car. And I had the film in my drawer for like a year, and I'm like, all right, does it make sense having a 40-page script? Let me try and make it into a feature length. And I didn't write a feature length film at the time. So I was like, all right, that's pretty scary. I'm going to write 3 short films and put it together, and it'll be a feature length film, right?
Right.
Yeah, so basically that was the story. And how it happened was I had the film for like a year or two. I was working as a camera operator, and the government released something when they'll give 3 first-time film makers a very small budget to make their first film. And luckily we got through and we made it. Yeah.
That's fantastic. And how did you come into the project, Sophie?
Well, actually, I was the editor for Back to Freeport because I was also in their class. I came in a bit late, but I was like production design, and then I worked my way up to like I could edit it from there. And the capstone ended up being a feature in itself, so it was a big undertaking.
The student film, yeah.
And well, a few of us kind of continued working with each other after school, so it was kind of an easy fit. A lot of people from our class was actually in Grace and Saleem because there wasn't a big budget, so it was a lot of us being like, okay guys, let's do this again. Let's see what we can do.
Right. So calling on your friends and sort of making it a real collaborative effort.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely.
For sure.
And that's really interesting, actually, hearing about that grant from the government, because, of course, you guys are a part of, you've submitted here to the Nollywood Week, and we all know about the financing challenges that we see in Nollywood and in Nigeria and also across a lot of African countries. What is it like in Trinidad in terms of financing, and how important are these government grants, for example?
Financing is like, I guess everywhere in the world, financing is really, really hard, right? I could honestly say without the money from the government, the film wouldn't have been done right now. And it was good timing because I don't think the government gives grants as frequently as they used to. I think they had some anniversary Curry Festa thing. Yeah, so that's why they wanted to give some local films a chance. In terms of the production here, it's mainly commercial work and corporate work. So I would say in terms of the film industry here, it isn't bad. It's just that it's definitely not narrative based. It's more doing like, commercials or music videos. And the films we see tend to be people like us or other people who have friends who work in the corporate world who are like, all right, I have a script. Would you guys mind not getting paid for a year and we'll work on this? And that's it. And then we rely on film like festivals like the Hollywood Film Week to give us a chance.
Thank you for the submission, first of all. No, that's great. I think so. That's an interesting contrast. Do you see any other overlaps with Nollywood or folks watching films that are coming out of Nigeria? Well, I know, for example, I'm Jamaican, so I've seen this in Jamaica. There's a real, interest in Nollywood in Jamaica. But I'm curious about what it's like in Trinidad. Are people interested? Do you see any other overlaps with the industry? The financing issue is there, but anything else?
All right, in terms of Nollywood films, I was surprised how popular, because my dad used to work offshore in the oil rigs now, and he'll bring DVDs back. And he said, yeah, the fellas love this, and I'm watching it, and it's these like Nollywood films. And I'm like, what is this? And I'm watching it, and they're these incredible films made that with no money on camcorders. It's actually a part of the reason I thought I could be a filmmaker, that and the mumblecore scene. So I don't want to be a filmmaker to be like Michael Bay or Steven Spielberg. I want it to be
just doing it.
Just doing it. Yeah. And I think that's the benefit of films like Nollywood films and even Caribbean films, when they're great films, but you could see they were made by people,
Yeah.
You see all the charm. Yeah, you talking about?
No, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah. And in terms of overlap, well, I mean, thank God the world is a much smaller place because of the internet and stuff. So you see a lot of our country is a lot of African diaspora and Indian. So you see the cultures mixing, and they have this great
Chinese.
And Chinese. Well,
He's
Chinese.
Chinese mix.
And yeah, but the thing about the African diaspora, there's been a big push in having a lot of pride in where you come from, in the art especially, and in films. More recently,
it has
really
always
beautiful.
been a thing, which is nice because we had a lot of Western influence before, and I feel like, I don't know if it's the circles, just the artistic circles, but I hope not. But we're starting to get a lot more influence from just our own culture and respecting it a lot more, which is, you would think that wouldn't be a hard thing, but it is actually, especially I think in cultures that come from just beginnings that have been chaotic. We tend to have no respect in ourselves and be like, oh, please approve of us, Western society.
Post-colonization.
Yeah. So
That's always been a bit of the challenge in the Caribbean, right? The Caribbean is a melting pot of all these different kinds of people. Of course, you've got folks who've come over from China back in the 1800s, same, a bunch of people from Lebanon, Syria, India, of course, the huge Indian population. What was interesting in your film was, of course, this portrayal of all these different communities. How deliberate was that?
All right, I get this question a lot, and I'm very proud of that. When it was written, I didn't think about it like that. I'm from South, which is a bit more mixed than from the West, which is from. But yeah. So when I grew up, I had
a bit of regional conflict here.
Yeah,
South versus West. Who's the Chris?
Yeah, but when I was younger, I had Muslim friends and Indian friends, Chinese friends. So to me, I'll always see these films, even ones made here, and I'm we never tackle in the most basic way what it's like to be here, right? I don't know why, but so I'm if I get my chance, I'm going to represent my friends, and not in a way that is what my mission, but just a way that feels real to me. So for Christmas, I'll go to my Catholic friend's house. For Diwali, I'll go to my other friend's house, So I wanted to show a Muslim person in a way that any religious person is an important part of their life, but it's not who they are. You know what I mean? So if a Catholic person was on screen, they won't be every line will be, I am a Catholic person, ... It's it's a part of who I am. It's an important part, but it's not all I am. So yeah, that was my process in the film, to make these people real, the good and the bad. And nobody's perfect. Nobody's all bad. We're all people. So. Yep.
That makes sense. I think that definitely came through in the film. All the multiple identities, and it makes sense. I would say of a Caribbean film because it's layered identities in the Caribbean, right? Um, and I think that's really interesting for our audiences because for people who are not familiar with movies that are coming out of the Caribbean, I know at times in interviews in the past you've said the stories that are being told about the Caribbean are not really reflective of what life is like lived in the Caribbean every day. So, what kind of narratives do you think you want to explore over the next few months, years? What can we expect from Jan, the director?
Um, Funny enough, I've been writing a lot more because we've, how the year has been. So like I've been writing a lot more, and funny enough, like I keep looking at what it's like to be in a rural part of my country because Trinidad, for such a small place, is very segmented. There's the West people, there's the East, the South, and like for such a small place, we don't communicate as much as we will. So I find a lot of the art is made from people on the North Coast, which is great. But even being in such a small country, when I was younger, I'll watch a local film and it'll be cool. But I'll be like, yeah, but I don't really live in the city, like what were my stories? So I'm writing stories more about that, about rural living, from a genre perspective. So there's like dramas, there's comedies, but I find I'm really in a genre film mode. So like the kind of art housey horror films. It's like
Yeah.
we're scary but we're super serious. Like that's the kind of what we're looking at right now. Yeah.
Okay.
Essentially.
No, that's great. We have a few questions now coming in from the audience. So one of the feedback is this is the most delightful film. It reminds me of when Harry met Sally. They want to know your they want to know your Twitter accounts because they want to follow. So share this with the audience, please. How folks can follow you, be that on Twitter or any other platform.
Well, thanks for the Harry Met Sally. It's one of my favorite films. So that's the nicest thing I've ever heard. I'm not on Twitter, but I'm on Instagram and I'm on Facebook. Just look up my name, Jan Hennings, and you should find it. I'm like the only one in the world, probably.
I think on Instagram it's Jan Hennings Trinidad.
Yeah, look up Jan Hennings Trinidad. I'm trying to be better at it, because I'm not the best social media person, but I understand it's the best way to communicate with people. And yeah, please talk to me, add me. I have like 300 friends, so it'd be cool if I can reach like maybe 500 by next year.
Okay, you guys heard that. It's Jan Hennings Trinidad on Instagram. Help him get some more friends.
500. 500.
Up to 500. That's the target. Brilliant. And then we had some more, another question that's now more on the technical side, Jan. What technical challenges did you have filming the road trip scenes? Because, we saw how those moved, for example, in a place like Trinidad. And how easy was it to access the right equipment for that kind of technical work?
All right, so in terms of
what technical problems we didn't have would be an easier question. Let's start.
Well, I'll explain the technical stuff, then I'll tell you some horror stories. So basically, in terms of technical, any filmmakers, when you write something, just write something that you that plan to do. Just think about what is the worst thing that will happen, and write in a way where you can avoid that. Because I'm obsessed with road trip films because being from such a small country, we're small now. Like you go like around the country in like 2 hours, So like, how do I make a road trip film? How do I make my great road trip film? What we didn't think about was how do you rig a camera to a truck without much resources, because we used a Ursa Mini, which is a high-end but still consumerish camera. The Dominic, our DP, did a great job. The film looks great and stuff, but rigging it to the car was a pain in the butt. As you can tell, again, exposure with no lights. We didn't have any on-car lights. So when it wasn't exposure, it was what do you want to be exposed? Is it the people or outside? Because we didn't have any lights to compensate.
And also the roads, so after the first day of shooting on the road, we thought we scoped out a place like, okay, this road is long, there's no cars here, like we'll come here. a lot of cars. The road was a lot more bumpy than we remembered. And literally the day after, we had to just be calling up racetracks to be like, can we use here because the road is not working? So like the first week we didn't get as much as we thought, well, hoped we would be able to. And I think one or two of the road things you could kind of see a background that seems normal. If apart from that, you see tires and stuff in the back because it is a racetrack that we just went around after a while.
Nobody seemed to notice, which is really nice. Because when you
and that's really creative solutions, and that's what our environment offers us. This is not the US, right? You don't have long stretches of road that you can just drive on. So that's creative, finding that solution.
And one thing too, being from my country, stuff I love in real life will murder you in a film. So I love you walking outside and you hear like Indian music and this music, drums playing. When you're filming, you're like, oh my God, all I hear is Indian drums playing.
Music pass.
I can't hear the dialogue. So that's something to, I guess, respect your song, man. Because like sound is the most important thing in film. Technical stuff. Yeah, I mean, the weather was all unpredictable, but that was everywhere.
Yeah, I think every day when we went, looked at location, we're like, oh, this is beautiful. The day we had to shoot, it was cloudy and overcast, and we were like, all right, I guess
packing extra days in your shooting schedule, essentially.
Something we have learned from this one most definitely is but I think we had such a short time frame actually to even get it done because it was the government grant and we needed it for Carifesta, that there wasn't even any time. I think we had to, from when we heard about it to when we needed to start editing was like 5 months.
Yeah. We shot the film in 15 days and she delivered a Carifesta cut within 5 months, which is crazy. And
then we got to work on it a bit after.
Yeah. It's something when you look back, you're like, oh, we did it. But when you're in it, you're like, this is insane. But we're glad you guys, liked it.
Yeah.
Glad for the Harry and when Harry met Sally shout out, that was great.
Great. No, that's great. And that's interesting about this Carifesta event. Tell us a little bit about what that is and, what other kind of links you made to other Caribbean cinema, just for our audiences who don't know Carifesta. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Well, it's
a regional festival, like art festival that goes around the different like Caribbean islands and different places host it. So that year Trinidad was hosting it. So like people from all over the Caribbean just kind of come and like display their different arts. So there was dances, there's different like cultural things like people just anything arts, yeah. And they kind of portray that, and it's honestly, it's a really lovely festival. I was so happy to be a part of it. We were freaking out a bit because we were more the film side and it was airing, so there was a bit more focus on that for us, at least.
It's really beautiful. It's hard to imagine now, but imagine like thousands of people in one spot of different
Hard
cultures.
to imagine that right now with COVID. But
yeah. But it's really, really beautiful. Like basically it's this giant area and there's the theater next door. So we will just run from the theater to the main area and like watch dances and artists, and it was really, really nice.
Yeah, and in terms of the cinema, there's a lot of like just really amazing Caribbean cinema.
Yeah.
That we've been influenced by a lot more Spanish. Cuba and places like that have just been Haiti. It just have had fantastic films over the years, and like we strive to even reach there before anything else.
Like Jamaica has good stuff.
Jamaica, yeah.
But you guys are like our competition. So.
Wait, listen, we don't compete with small island people, okay?
I'll choose it.
Just for our audience to understand, in the Caribbean, there's a whole small island, large island rivalry. So just give everyone a little bit of background on that. Trinidad is aspiring. But it's all love. It's all love. We have so much love and respect.
We actually just did a workshop with Jamaica with writing and stuff, and it really was fantastic. Like just some of the lecturers coming out to there and helping us out. It was great.
Good people.
Yeah.
We have another question from the audience. The movie was quite poetic. Does that mean that you are a poet at heart, Jan?
I wish I was. No, our lead actor is a poet.
Yeah.
So he calls me on dialogue and all the time, which is good. He's one of my best friends, Kyle Hernandez. He's been acting in our stuff since film school. And all right, so when you don't have money, the one thing you can control is your dialogue, your characters, and the feeling of the film, right? I find a lot of people here don't concentrate on moments and dialogue, and I like because like I'm a terrible camera operator. I'm my dialogue, my words mean a lot, like to me. I'm gonna start crying. So like I'm glad people notice the visuals and even the editing. So it's what we strive to do is make very entertaining films that feel like there's a little more going on. Hopefully you guys felt it, because we watch a lot of art house cinema, but we also watch a lot of like foreign genre stuff, like comedies, whatever. And a film can be entertaining and it can be layered, and we're trying to reach that. Yeah.
And I think we saw that layering come through in the development of the characters, certainly. We have another question about the budget. Back to finance again. Yeah. What was the total budget?
The budget was around 35,000 US. So that's like 200,000 TT. So like 35. So the coffee budget of any big movie was the budget of our
the whole film.
Yeah.
We were so grateful for it. I mean, it's not much, but at least it got it done. I mean, it got it done with a lot of favors too. A lot of the people there were our friends who we were calling in favors and being like, please, would you be able to? So we were grateful to them too, because we know if they didn't come through, it would be a lot higher. So we know it wasn't perfect and it was very hard to do it for that budget, but with everybody, it we managed to get it done.
It's always funny talking about budget, because ultimately budget helps with production values. It helps with food, but it doesn't help your movie ultimately, right? So like you either do the work, develop your character, develop your story, and make a small, hopefully really entertaining, very beautiful film, on any budget. Like budget helps with certain things, but it doesn't help the quality of the film ultimately, and it's really believable. So, that's just somebody, if anybody's out there trying to make a movie and you feel like, oh, I don't have money, just think about what you can make with what you have. You know what I mean? Like if we didn't have the little bit of money from the government, we would have made something even smaller than Grace and Saleem. I'm just hard to imagine something even smaller than Grace and Saleem. And I just want people to start making more stuff ultimately with friends. Yeah.
I think again, that's definitely an overlap that we see with the Nollywood industry, right? You make what you can with the money and the resources that you have, and you really dig deep into your environment to see where you can pull favors and pull in friends, because that's the reality of our environment.
Right? Yeah, for sure.
Great. We have another question that's going back a little bit to the scene in the restaurant. That's asking what happened exactly with the explosion in the kitchen. Was there an explosion in the kitchen?
Yeah. All right. So that leads back to budget. The
original script.
Yeah, the kitchen scene was supposed to be like, the restaurant scene is that it was a very When Harry Met Sally, kind of back and forth, but they're so connected. There's all this craziness going on around them that they don't even notice. But we couldn't afford a lot of what was written, so that explosion was just like my little. Just give me the explosion. So basically, the idea was, when you're so connected to someone, they could have anything going wrong. It's a film, so it's exaggerated, but an explosion going on, but you're so connected, you don't even notice it. So it's that.
The angle, the wide angle at that point showed us exactly that they were still in contact. They were still looking at each other, engaged in conversation, and all of that was happening behind. So that's great. And then another one that comes in from our audience, they're really people have lots of questions for you guys. So this is great. Was the film released in a movie theater in Trinidad and Tobago?
No. So what happened is after Carrie Festa, the film wasn't finished. That was just a rough cut. So we're basically now finishing the film. But theaters are unopened. So basically we're looking at more worldwide streaming VOD. We've been talking to some people. It's been going good. So I mean, I would have loved for it to play in cinemas, to be honest, because I mean, we're filmmakers. We love the movies. You know, we love film festivals. I miss film festivals, like in-person film festivals, because you get to go and watch a film you never heard about and get surprised. Unfortunately, unless maybe we do a special screening, it's not going to really be in wide theaters here. You know, maybe one day. Yeah.
But for the folks that you have showed it to in Trinidad and Tobago, how has it been received?
Good. I mean, honestly, so it showed in Tobago before it showed in the mainland, and we had one friend who was there, and we were like, oh, how did the movie play? And he's like, oh, it played really well, and we were like, really? Because we don't know how your film is. Like, she was editing it for like weeks and weeks. It was just two of us watching the movie over and over and over, and all we knew is the movie had a beginning, middle, and end. We didn't know about the quality. We didn't know how people would respond to it. So basically, when we had our first screening and people was laughing and stuff, I was like, this is a strange feeling because we watched this movie and...
Oh, like my biggest surprise was because I was so used to it. The part where the waiter pulls the menu and then the water, like, so I was just so desensitized to it. So like when we were kind of like at the back of the screening room and the first laugh after he like gets rid of the water and like pulls out the menu, and I was like, oh my God, that was an intentional moment that we met human people laughed. Like that was so, it's different when it's an audience and you get to kind of hear that and even hear the moments that don't work because for Carrie Fest, it was a much longer cut and they had a lot more moments that we really loved, but then we felt the pacing in those screenings. I was like, okay, we need to actually go back and rework this stuff and see how it goes from here. So some characters got cut out completely, which is so like, it hurts, but I think it's just necessary. And it was good to kind of get that feedback from people. Yeah.
Okay. No, that's really great. Thank you for that. And, you know, one of the things that jumped out at me was Grace's character. You know, as her character developed, I thought, wow, this is a strong female lead in the true sense of the word. How did that character develop for you? Were you thinking a little bit about a woman who's confident, got control of her own life? I want to be Grace.
Yeah, I don't know, like when I first thought of the film, like I thought of two things, a Muslim guy doing woodworking and in the end a couple walking and it's this beautiful scene and she just like slaps the guy. I really wanted her to be more than like again, a lot of regional films I see, even the really good ones, the female characters tend to be there to support the male lead or to give a love interest or something like that, which is fine, but I like female characters that have a little bit more going on. Again, we got some pushback on this, which is strange because I love Grace and I love her difficult side and I love her kind side. And if she didn't have that difficult side, I wouldn't love her kind side as much. And like again, I want them to feel real. Plus, like I said, my dad spent a lot of time like working offshore. So it was just me, my female cousins, my aunts, and my mom. So I'm one guy in a house full of women. So like, I don't see women as this other. I see them as these people who I spend a lot of time with. Who raised me. Yeah. Who isn't afraid to slap me if I get out of line. So like
no abuse.
Yes. Yeah, so
we're not talking about abuse here.
But so I think the issue is a lot of people aren't connected with both sexes. So they write the other person as the other. They aren't the other. They're just like you and me. They're just different people. They're not just a woman, not just a man, not just a Muslim. We're all people, and that's what I was hoping the film could have illustrated.
Fantastic. Well, that's really great. I saw another thing that came out was all the landscaping and a few specific Caribbean references. So all of the landscape of Trinidad. So I wanted to just know what your thinking was behind sort of showcasing all of that, and of course the reference to the 1984 cricket match for our audiences around the world. Cricket is a huge sport in the Caribbean, and I don't know if you can have a Caribbean film without a reference to it. What do you say, Jan?
In terms of the landscape, again, like I've seen a lot of local films, and they tend to be in an urban environment. And I'm not from Port of Spain. I'm from San Fernando, so I wanted to show Trinidad as I saw it, a lot more lush, a lot more wide, a lot more open, a lot more open. And not because I'm from South, but whenever I go to Port of Spain, I feel just overwhelmed with all these buildings, around. And I love my country, and I love all aspects of it. So I wanted to show the landscape. And on a personal note, every time I work, it's in Port of Spain, which is a 2-hour drive for me. So I want to make a film, and I have to have all those Port of Spain people drive to South every day and work. So that was like part of the reason for me to make the movie too, just for revenge.
Because as we were going into, he was like, we're gonna find all these locations in South. There's a few in town that we couldn't avoid, but he did specifically say that.
Yeah, but anyway, like I said, I also want to show an alternative version of the Caribbean that wasn't just beaches. Because whenever you see alternative perspective of the Caribbean, it's beaches, which is cool. We have beautiful beaches, but we also have beautiful hills, mountains, valleys, greenery, So yeah, just wanted to show the world an alternative version of my country.
Yeah, and I think that's also quite important to show that diversity of the country and of the types of people who live there. Because as I imagine with Carifesta, there's a real link between what we show of our countries and the amount of people we then get who come to visit and want to discover what they've seen in a film. And that's very much a strong part of American cultural hegemony, not to go into politics, but so much of what America shows in their movies encourage people to go and see and believe what they believe about America. So I think it's really important to really showcase the diversity of what we have in the Caribbean in terms of people, landscapes, and so on. We've got another question from the audience. The actors who played Grace and Saleem were really believable in their roles. Are they known actors in Trinidad or first-time actors?
Kyle, I won't say he's a known actor, but he's a popular poet and a spoken word artist. He's just our friend from back in film school. He used to be in our short films. When we made the film, I was like, okay, we don't have money, we don't have time. I need a leader actor who we have a shortcut with because we don't have time. So he was more like, we need a friend. Grace, who's played by Siobhan, she never acted in anything. She's not a trained actor, nothing.
She was in some side roles and some other stuff, but I think this was like her first one. And even in the audition, we're so happy, we're so grateful because it was such a hectic process. And like he said, she wasn't trained, and they just kind of worked with him for the little time we did have, and then they killed it.
Yeah, casting, you have to cast what you got a lot of the times. So they had other actresses who were better known, who were more trained, who would have brought more eyes to the film. But Siobhan just came in and they did the dinner scene, and the chemistry was crazy, and she killed it. And I was like, all right, we're gonna have to hire her. We have to. She is Grace, and she's gotten such good feedback from the film, and I'm really happy for her because she was great. I want to take the credit as the director, but she came in fully formed as Grace. Obviously we rehearsed and blocked and stuff, but she.
I also think what's really important too is before even we had started filming, above anything else, Jen kept repeating to me. He was like, "Okay, we have a lot of shortcomings. We have to teach ourselves a lot." What he wanted out of this film was for the acting to feel genuine and the characters to feel real. He kept repeating that to me throughout the entire process. What he wanted to work on was for himself. So the aesthetic and all that was kind of put on his side burner, but it was I really just want to work with the actors, and that is the most important thing for me for this one. I just want to make it authentic and good. And so I think that's awesome that people actually really thought they were great, because that was his goal for this one.
Yeah, it was.
That's exactly what they said. That it was really believable in their. They were really believable in their role. And that's great. Another comment from the audience: I was surprised by the technical quality for the budget that you had, and it was funny and better than some of the stuff you find on Netflix. Great job.
That's nice. Thank you.
We will tell Dominic that.
The DP.
Yeah, the DP Dominic Koo. because like I said, it wasn't easy. There was at some points he was trying to like build a tech, like just some equipment he wanted, and one of the other producers on us was like, nope, you can't get any of it. And he's like, well, all I have is practicals and the camera, and he just had to make it work. And like, so just to hear that he was good enough for even a Netflix show, I'm sure you'll be happy.
Yeah, like the sacrifices people made for this film is really, really something. Like you said, Dominic had one camera, 3 lenses, and one light and a bunch of practicals, which is like lamps and stuff, and he made it work. And I don't know, you need people willing to really push for a film because, like I said, back to the budget, we could have had a big budget, but if people just didn't push, it wouldn't be as good as it is. So yeah, shout out to like Dominic, our DP.
But we're going to wrap up soon. I really appreciate you guys taking the time and really sharing all this, additional information about your inspiration and about your love for your country and about the love for your cinema and also being inspired by Nollywood movies. I think that's been so enriching. So thank you. Any last words from you, Jan and Sophie, to aspiring filmmakers, to our audience globally? On the continent and in the diaspora?
Thanks for watching the film. And honestly, if you want to make something, all you need is people willing to work just as hard as you are. Be realistic with what you want to make, but if you make something small enough, it could be really beautiful. Thank you. You can find me on Instagram. Maybe I'll get to 500 friends one day. What you say?
Just, it's not easy. Like, I don't want to like pretend for people that it is, and like with pure like determination you can do it. It's gonna be really hard, but just keep going. Like, I'm still telling myself that the only thing that will make me feel is when I decide that I can no longer take it. And there'll be a lot you have to take. Some might have it easier and some might have a more difficult time. Just take your moment and then keep moving forward that's all I could really say.
Yeah, thanks. I can't believe there's people outside of our country watching the movie. We're very grateful. We're honestly very grateful. Like, thanks for supporting the film. And just find us online if you have any questions. We just want to say hi, whatever.
Oh, you want to make a film?
Yeah.
We'll do like a 5-minute just nothing film.
Great. Thank you both so much. So for everyone who wants to add Jan, it's Jan Hennings Trinidad on Instagram. And we'll have an opportunity, I think, to still network in the networking hub. So just thank you again, guys, and all the best. Enjoy all the good stuff in Trinidad, all the good food. And I want some bake and all that good stuff that you can get there.
Definitely.
Fantastic. We're gonna bye-bye.